are the Los Angeles riots sealing the leftward shift of the Democrats on immigration. In LA, we've seen people come out to protest the ICE facilities, the Immigration Enforcement Agency, as they're conducting raids to deport illegal immigrants. This is part of the mass deportations campaign that President Trump promised in his second term. Local Democrats have been opposed to the raids, and many people have taken to the streets. The protests have often turned violent, and the riots have resulted in President Trump calling in the National Guard and calling in active duty troops to quell them and try to keep the peace. This hasn't sat well with local Democratic leaders, especially California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3 co-equal branches of independent government. There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found.
Newsom had previously been trying to pivot to the center on a whole host of issues. He'd been hosting a podcast in which he talked to people like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk, who are big in the MAGA movement and represent a different political perspective from the California governor. Newsom is widely viewed as a 2028 Democratic presidential contender. Therefore, his decision to throw in with the rioters and lurch to the left on immigration is noteworthy. The fact that these protests have turned violent and that they're directed toward ICE may position Democrats as being against immigration enforcement and potentially law enforcement in general, reminiscent of the 2020 George Floyd riots. However, Newsom isn't alone among California Democrats. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass feels basically the same way.
The disruption and the fear that has been caused by the raids has really had a devastating effect and has been a body blow to our economy. I don't think the president understands that we have entire sectors of our economy that cannot function without immigrant labor.
Immigration was one of the big issues that turned the 2024 presidential election in Trump's favor. The 4 years of the border being virtually open under former President Joe Biden caused public attitudes on immigration to harden to the point where things like mass deportations polled much better. But obviously some illegal immigrants, because they're busboys, seamstresses, people who've been in the country a long time, might on an individual basis be sympathetic figures. However, Democrats have focused on people who have been suspected of ties to MS-13 and criminal activities beyond illegal immigration when trying to find sort of poster children for mistaken deportations by the Trump administration. It isn't really very clear that Democrats have learned the lessons of the 2024 presidential election, especially as it relates to the issue of immigration. And it isn't clear that the Democratic base is really on the broader electorate's side when it comes to this issue. What do you think? Let us know down below.